From the deck of the ship, Carver breathed in the air of Vaderheim like a thick molasses in his sinuses. Here he was, finally in the Triarches, or at least its shores, seeking firsthand the harshness of the region that flung fear on so many. The landing spot ahead was Skane Beach, a site once heralded as an icon of peace for hosting both High King Sacher Lunex and Imperator Dracus Cayman as they signed their treaties. Now, centuries later, Skane Beach looked like a symbol of war. Huge, jagged boulders cropped up all along the shoreline, and like the black sand beyond it, streaked with veins of pulsing green light. The waves sizzled as they made landfall, foaming like pus on a hot stone. Even the air was touched by putrefaction. Green particulates flew on the wind to make a choking haze. Carver smiled. It's all I could have hoped for. God of War Ragnarok, and really the entire God of War series, is inspirational in a lot of ways. For a lot of gamers, myself included, it inspired us to believe in just how grand and epic video games could be, like interactive versions of Greek legends of old. For others, it inspired us to dive into the foreign fictional worlds of Greek and Norse mythology. However, for myself, these games inspired me to change whole sections of my world and books because of how wonderfully made Kratos, Atreus, and the world beyond is. This channel will be dedicated to exploring the roots and inspirations of my fantasy series, Blood of One's Blood, available on my website if you guys want to support and enjoy. In tandem with this will be my Instagram and TikTok page, where all my commissioned, original, beautiful art will be uploaded day by day. Considering this video though, I think as writers we have the responsibility to talk not only about our work, but the giants whose shoulders on which our work stands. And one of the giants whose shoulders my book stands on is a man who also stood on giants, though a bit more forcefully. Kratos is one of the most vicious characters in all of gaming, right up until, well, he isn't. God of War's transformation from bloody hack-and-slash power bro fantasy into a deep explorative dive into redemption, masculinity, and the proper use of violence is honestly one of the most incredible developments in gaming.
So I'm a man now, like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater. And you must be better than me.
And I got to see it in real time. I gameflied God of War 1, but never got to beat Ares because my PS2 glitched. I played God of War 2 and got hooked right from the Colossus fight. I played God of War 3 on release and didn't put down the controller until Zeus was a bloody pulp on my screen. I didn't have a PSP though, so I admittedly did have to watch from afar as people massacred their way through Chains of Olympus. And then finally, the capstone of God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok changed the over-the-top violence of the previous games into something more gritty, emotional, and brutal. Baldur vs. Kratos is one of the coolest opening boss fights in gaming, partly because of the cinematic of it, but also because of what Baldur wants. He craves death. He wants Kratos to give him a good death. And I thought that was so freaking cool that I stretched that out across an entire culture. To that end, I created the Triarches, a country made up of 3 regions: Vaderheim, Kierheim, and Helheim. Probably sounds familiar. The people of the Triarches, who refer to themselves as Yngving, pretty much only want one thing in life: to be remembered. See, in the northern continent of my world, there is no belief in gods or the afterlife or pretty much anything metaphysical. There is no reverence for the dead because northerners believe it's useless. The dead can't hear you, so why mourn them or wish them well? In fact, most of the dead are simply forgotten. But there is one trick to being remembered. Tie yourself to history. Do something so monumental that people have no choice but to remember you. And for the people of the Triarches, the Yngving, that means dying a grand death. And that is what Baldur wanted. He prayed to the god of war to kill him. I can't think of a crazier way to go out. It's literally what legends are made of. I wanted to imagine an entire society of people like that and how it would change them. Warriors that ran towards their doom, berserkers that fantasized about the day they die. Coming home from battle would be a sadness. Every victory would be bittersweet. There would be no surrender, only an invitation for more conflict. I thought this struck a great middle ground for the traditional Viking pursuit of Valhalla and paid honor to the Norse legends of old. But that fanatical fighting spirit wasn't the only aspect of God of War I was inspired by. One of the beautiful things about the games are how much animals play a role in the story. And from there, I created the next group of Yngvinding, the Vadermer, the Beast Tamers. See, the three cultures of the Triarches all have different specialities, practices, and customs. The Helmer of Helheim are the bloodthirsty berserkers. They are the first in battle and the last to leave. The Vadermer of Vaderheim, like their animal companions, are a bit more cunning. They lay traps, travel through tunnels, breathe through water tubes, and fight with steel claws. In Vaderheim, you are only a true warrior if you have earned the companionship of an animal, and the greater the animal, the greater your renown. Norse mythology soaks a ton of its supernatural elements in animals. It makes the gods feel both part of and above nature by doing so. Odin and his ravens, there is Fenrir and Jormungandr and the Hellbird. There would be no way for me to write Norse-inspired work without animals playing a huge role. Of course, being so close to animals, the Vadermer produce most of the food and crops of the Triarches. Even war-hungry people have to eat real food. On the complete opposite end of the beastly Vadermer, though, are the strategic Kyrmer. God of War always did an amazing job of soaking all its magic and sorcery in a feel of technology. The Aesir in Beyond felt purposeful and advanced, and that is the balance that the Kyrmer bring to the Helmer and the Vadermer. Kyrheim is the only region of the Triarches with a city, and the Kyrmer are the only group of Yngvinding with scholars, researchers, and assassins. They prefer to fight with bombs, flashbangs, traps, and poison. The Kyrmer called themselves the Culture Keepers because they keep all the records and histories that the Vadermer and the Helmer can't be bothered to. These cultures, the Helmer, the Vadermer, and the Kyrmer, exist in a tenuous balance where each cover for the weaknesses of the other. And this is important because the Triarches is as inhospitable as a region could be. The air is thick and green, the food and water is toxic before purification, and even the plants are hungry for meat. Imagine your time spent battling monsters in Niflheim. Now, imagine that for your entire life. The Yngvinding of the Triarches have become strong because the land has made them such. Yet there are many other countries of the north, all of which would make their own arguments for their superior strength. If you'd like to learn more about them and support this channel, head on over to my website to read the Blood of One's Blood series. I'll put a link below to my website and to my Instagram and TikTok for additional content if you're interested. Let me know what questions you guys have or what you want me to talk about next in the comments. As always, it was a pleasure. I'll talk to you all again soon.